Hi everybody, this is Keiko, also known as K.Angel. How are you doing? Today, I have a special guest. I can say without a doubt, he is one of my most favorite human being, most beautiful beings on the planet, Neo Glimmer. Hi Neo, how are you doing?
Hi Keiko, how are you doing? I'm doing okay.
Just okay, Neo? Just okay.
No, I'm doing great.
That's great, but sometimes we all have to be honest, right? So we share everything each other, so we can help each other, right? But I
Right.
hope you are doing great.
No, I'm doing great. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I'm doing great too. Especially, I was so looking forward to this day. Neo is generously agreed to my request to be on my channels. So this, our interview, our conversation, our discussion will be shared in my Japanese community and also in the entire world, whoever loves Neo Glimmer. So Neo, could you please, I know pretty much if anyone who is viewing, who is listening, who is watching this video, probably almost everybody knows you, familiar with you, but could you introduce yourself briefly?
Okay. Um, so I live in Portugal. I'm 32 years old. I'm going to make 33 in September this year. And I started YouTube in 2016 with very small videos, very small channel. But it was all about being awake and the awakening and trying to make a shape of reality and how we perceive reality and what are the lies and what are the truths. But I had an experience in March this year that changed my life, changed my understanding, because I saw a little bit how the universe works. And because I saw a little bit of how the universe works, I stopped trying to say what the universe is, because the human being does not understand, does not have any idea, and we're not smart enough or intelligent enough even to perceive that this world is not physical, it's not entirely physical, is made by a spiritual being, a creator being. And that creator being is descending upon us. I was alerted to that message that is descending upon us and is going to take us to our original condition, because we have fallen, like we fall down into a very dense music, and now we are ascending back to the subtle world, where is described as a paradise or an utopia. And we're dealing with very special years, because we are already in the transitioning to that place. So, and most people are unaware that this is really happening, and they're going to be caught by surprise, because the entire world is going to change. And so that experience changed my life, because now I'm on a mission to tell everybody that this is really happening, and I'm just pointing out the signs, and so that the people could see the signs and then interpret the signs in their own way.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. So you started YouTube channel back in 2016, you say. At the time, like 2016, it's a couple of years ago. So that's the year, that's around the time you feel that you are spiritually started awakening?
Yes, but not in the spiritual sense, I guess. I start to awakening to the fact that we have been lied to for for many years, that our history is probably, much of the history that we read on the history books are fake, the elites want us to know their version of history, and that's a whole rabbit hole on itself, because when you start following the trail and the breadcrumbs, you find yourself so deep in such a dark place that you find it very difficult to get out again, because it changed your life. I remember after the process of investigation that I did, and talking with more experienced people who've done research as well, that the rabbit hole never ends. It's almost like you don't see the bottom, and it's lies upon lies upon lies, and this really changes your insight, because when you realize that some very, very evil people are controlling the world, your whole reality in your mind and your whole heart changes to that fact that the conditions of the humanity today were being led by very, very nasty people. And so you have to have a certain change of insight, saying how to, contradict the narrative of these elite families and who's behind the control system, as I call it, because it really changes your life and the perception of your own reality, being known that you were led into school, for example, and they teach you whatever they want to teach you because they have their own programs. You don't have a say in the programs of the government. So they're feeding you the information, they're telling you just enough to operate in this reality, but never enough to escape it. So that you become docile and a good worker in the system. And that really changed my heart. And I was for a few months very disappointed angry with everything. And I didn't know how to operate in this reality anymore, because I didn't do anything anymore. I didn't want to work because I know that the monetary system is an entrapment, a slavery system.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, they have created bonds since our birth, and they make profit from our birth certificates and from our national security numbers, and they fill themselves with money, and we still have to pay taxes when they made already the money enough for us to live with abundance, during our lifetime. So we start looking into that, and who's really behind it, and there's an extra presence that is not human behind those people, then that realization on their own then makes you look into all religions, into all myths, and that's when the rabbit hole got way, way bigger, because finally you start to understand that the world is not what you think it is not what the space agencies tell you that it is. And when you get out of that mindset, as I was going, suddenly there was a spiritual understanding of this, that we are here for a reason, and we are here to change. I call it being divergent, because you diverge from the system, and that spiritual change is very important to accommodate in the person, and that's the Holy Spirit now speaking to you. Hey, this is not the way to live. This is not normal, and we are in a reality that is very far from being normal. And when you accept it, that you're in a bad place, you will do everything to get out of the bad place. And that's my mission right now, is to get out of this bad place and hopefully bring everybody with me, because that's the goal. I don't want any soul to be left behind in this world. I want every soul to be on the next world.
That is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So this back in March 2018, you received people called Ascension Codes. Ascension Codes I have right here in my you can see it, but I've been always looking at it. I sleep with it. This is my handwriting, Neo Glimmer, given by given through Neo Glimmer's Ascension Code from Divine. So this, when you had the vision on the March 15th, as far as I recall, March 15th, you are taken to another dimension for probably 11 years. Perhaps it's about 11 minutes. And when you came back to this realm, you didn't remember for some time, for a while, what just happened to you. So it took about, you say 2 weeks for you to fully understand and receive the meanings of the experience.
Yes, that is correct. Yes, it took me like 1 week and a half to 2 weeks. Yes, the first week was trying to make sense of the experience, because when I got out of the experience, when I returned, I know that I've traveled somewhere, I met someone, I was briefed about something that was going to happen in the world, but I didn't know what was talked about, what was discussed, and how it would be introduced. So I made it public, and I'm glad I did, because I went public with the video, because now I have the entire experience documented from the beginning, from where I didn't know what the hell was going on, and then when I remember, and then the codes, and it was fascinating, because when I remembered after 2 weeks, I wrote the codes, wrote the basically the paper that you're holding in your hands. They said to me that it would be very, very important, and they would be a big file on the internet, and people would share it across the world. And I had no idea that it was going to happen exactly as they said. And you really helped in that process, because when you shared with the Japanese community, then it went to Japan as well, like some other channels did in blogs, and they helped to, move away from country to country. And I have no idea right this day that how many countries were they published. So it's amazing, but in the end they were right. The information was correct, so that it would be shared.
Right, this because of your Ascension Codes, I'm a few things I've noticed that even not within only Japan, somebody living in Korea saw my video, and then she or he started introducing this Ascension Code to her their blogs and then their YouTube channels too, and I have received so many positive feedbacks, positive comments after they wrote down your Ascension Codes, and they had like mystical experiences, spiritual sensations, spiritual experiences, and they believe because of the Ascension Codes. But here I have a question for you. So only, for example, these YouTube communities or our spiritual communities, we are only like so small, tiny percentage compared to populations of this planet Earth. And like you said earlier, most people are still unaware. Most people are still asleep. So people who haven't been able to access this Ascension Code, who are not able to access even internet or YouTube, do you think right now, at this moment, do you think those people are still being triggered and waking up?
They will be, yes. They will be, because what I was told was that there was the people who are more aware spiritually, they're like beacons of light. Mm-hmm. And we were spread over the entire world. So we had a choice from the beginning in the spiritual realm. We did the choice of coming here and help the process. And by doing that, we chose in our family, we chose different locations to be the beacons. So what's happening now, we're creating an ark or a mothership, as I call it, and we're connecting the dots between people using the internet, because the ether, it's the fifth element. So we're connecting the grid, so to speak, in order to remove the old one and creating a new one. And when the process ends, when we finish our job, and we're not aware of what we are doing, but we're going to do it. The more people wake up, we're not aware, but we're doing in a spiritual sense. And when we finish, the others don't have the choice, because all the lighthouses, you know, are there, and they will see the new light, so they cannot deny it. And it's like a big glowing light coming to them, showering on them, and they don't have the choice, even if they're really, really asleep.
I see.
You know, they will be changed as we are changing.
And something came to me right now that intuitive messages I always receive. So just even this ascension code, not everybody has seen or written down this ascension code, but everywhere in the world, like many different countries, Japan, Korea, Portugal, US, and Europe, people, like thousands of people, are already writing down this ascension code, or have view your video, YouTube channels. Those people are the beacons, like you say, and we are like making the grid system, and people who are already who have already downloaded this information is triggering to like activating entire city, entire people in their cities, their countries, their areas. So not everybody, I don't think everybody needs to write down this ascension code. Only even the chosen people, I'm not saying chosen people are better or more superior, but the chosen people, like they are already assigned, they already had the contract to be the grid system, and then they are working in like chosen areas, like assigned areas. So did you understand what I was saying?
Yes, but it's not a contract. People use that term, the soul contract, and those contracts. That doesn't exist. You receive orders.
Orders.
They're orders, they're not contracts. You know, you don't do contract with your creator. Your creator doesn't force you to sign any contracts. That is a lie, a new age lie that was introduced to deceive people. Oh, you have this contract, so you have to do this and that. So it becomes a religion. So it becomes, you're following a roadmap that is not for you, because you don't have that contract. If they tell you that you have a contract, a soul contract, then you didn't do with the creator, you did with the devil, because the devil forces you to sign contracts. We were ordered because we are angels and we are manifesting in human form. So we are the descended angels, and we've come to assist the others because the others have those contracts. The others have those contracts were not by the Holy Spirit. Yes, it was with a different being, that it's the Lord of this world that is controlling and making people as puppets. And this reality is based on that, and there are very, very nasty people with those contracts, you know, running the world at the moment, but they will fall because those contracts, they have no validity between the true creators. So that's what's going on, is we are receiving the call and we are remembering little by little what to do, but because it's too much for the human condition to understand, we are being led by clues, and we must follow the clues as a roadmap to be in the places that we should be and doing the things that we should be, so that we can be aligned with the mission, because the mission is a destination. And when we fulfill the mission, we fulfill our destiny and we receive the blessing of being again, you know, in the presence of God, together in the presence of God in the garden or the paradise, is you know, anyone, you know, there's many names for the same place, but the place of peace, place of silence, that's where we're going.
That's what we are really ascending to. We are going back, right?
Yes.
And okay, so I now what everything you say, I understood. I really understood in my heart. So the soul contracts in a spiritual level, like in a spirit level, we've been deceived and we've been made to believe that in the soul level we have the soul contracts. In another word, karma. We have karma. So that's why you have to go back, we have to come back, we have to reincarnate again to pay our karma, to fulfill our soul contracts. That was our spirit's deception, spiritual deceptions.
Yes, because this age, at the end of this age, we will realize, humanity will realize that it was all an illusion and that karma does not exist. It's the getting out of the cycle of death and rebirth and being forever immortal, immortal in the spirit, because the spirit is immortal, not the flesh. The flesh decays,
Right.
but it decays because of a disease, of a mind virus. That's what's going on here. It doesn't have to decay. Even our suits, it could be immortal as the spirit is, if the soul chooses to keep that vessel.
Like
That vessel and be immortal within it. But that's not the case. We constantly die, but we die because of what we eat, you know, what we breathe, and all of that. And that was triggered by a very, very nasty people because they led us there. But it's all part of the illusion of the dream, okay? But it's not, and we're going to be revealed that truth in the end, that we're all connected, that we're basically the same being divided into very fractals. So that's the big conclusion, is that we can feel as a unity, and we will never be happy, you know, on the spiritual and physical level. We think we're happy, but we don't know what's real happiness, because as long there's people unhappy, the other you, because there are others of you, they cannot be truly happy because there's people unhappy and they belong to you.
exactly.
So unless we get out of this, that think with one mind, one heart, we're all the same, experiencing the same, and the angels are here because they heard the call, and we are happy to take the orders, because we pity the humans, because this human realm is miserable. You have to work to do everything. Another thing, in doing sacrifices, you're not doing sacrifices for the creator. You're doing sacrifice for other people. So, and we're going to get out of that, and so glad that we've come, because it's time to end the illusion and get out of the cycles of death and rebirth, because it's a disease. So we're being healed.
Disease and virus, right? I heard some other channels. This entire realm, entire planet Earth, and the way of living living as a human being is a virus. We are all infested by virus, and like you say, a lot of religions or religious teachings, most of the religious teachings, schools, and even the family, we grew up by being scolded, and then by parents, by teachers, that if we complain about our lives, if we say something that we are not fond of, we are not happy about, they say, why you have to appreciate everything that you are giving, appreciate the life as it is. That's like all mind programs that we are like, we have to be satisfied, we have to be content in a mediocre, miserable lives. we think about this, majority of people, 99% of the people, I would say, they have to go to the job every day, every morning. They get up early in the morning. They have to go to the job they hate. And from morning to night, evening time, they are trapped. They are like in a slavery. And after coming back from work, they are too exhausted to do anything. And their entire life, they are only looking forward for one day out of a week. Saturday, Sunday, 3 days out of the year, your vacation. And even vacation or on a weekend, they are finally free for a brief moment. Look at us. We have to pay for water. We have to pay for electricity. We have to pay for throwing out our trash and everything. We have to pay for our floor. Then we don't have enough excess money, so-called money to spend on our vacation or go to the restaurants or go to the places we would like to go and enjoy. We don't have money to do that. And then at a time, like our free times, we have to do house chores. We have to do dishes. We have to clean the house, sweep the floors. Is this really like life that we are supposed to be having, right, Neo?
No, it's a mind parasite because we accept this reality as being normal.
Right.
This is what it is, and we should accept it. That's what they teach us very, very young, that we should accept what it is and then fight it to have things and be better than others. And all this system is a parasite of consciousness, because if you accept the system as it is, you don't imagine something new, you don't imagine something better, because you're too focused on surviving this system, you know. And what's the point, you know, if you can't live forever, if you're going to die, what's the point of getting money and going to work to buy things that you're not going to take away when you die? It's just that simple. You're not going to take your house, you're not going to take your car when you die. So why do you fight for those things?
Right.
You should fight for something that makes your spirit complete, that your inner being is complete, you know, because you can have all the things in the world and still be miserable.
Yes, still be.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So they have entrapped us. The human consciousness was entrapped in accepting the system, and we fell in love with the captors. So they captured our consciousness and we fell in love with them. They are the elites, they are the politicians we love, they are the politicians we vote for. They are the musicians, the famous musicians that we buy music and make them rich. So we fell in love with the captors. This is a mind parasite. This is Stockholm syndrome that we're facing.
Mm-hmm. Stockholm syndromes. Yes, I know Stockholm syndrome.
We love even the religions that they set upon us and told us that this is the vehicle. When they control the religions, every single one of them, and it has nothing to do with the writings, because if you interpret the writings and read them in your own way, you will find your own truth. You know, it's not about what was written, it's about what they do with the teachings. They teach the opposite. Okay, but we shouldn't focus on the negative, because this time is a time of change, relearn everything, because we're going to get out of that, and we all have a mission to fulfill, and nobody's more important than anybody. The Holy Spirit is choosing particular people to do particular things. And what is happening is the Holy Spirit doesn't make mistakes. The Creator doesn't make mistakes. He chooses the people because they can do the job. And we don't have them to understand the job they're doing. That's the thing. It feels like we're separate. It feels like we have different ideas, that we have different spirituality. But in the end, it's the Holy Spirit working in ways that we do not understand yet. and is choosing the people just doing a particular job. When the job is finished, it's okay. It's already finished. You don't have to do anything anymore. You don't need to worry, because he's going to make it happen against all the odds. The parasite's going to be removed. So that's the message.
Okay, I like to go over about the positives in a minute, but I just want to clarify this. You say they and elite. So those people, nasty people, or your terms. So those people, the human beings, they are not the ones doing it. They are being also deceived and controlled. Am I correct?
Yes.
By entities, right? The
yes.
beings outside of this realm.
Yes, there are spiritual. This is where the confusion gets. Some of the confusion gets. We do have entities. We do have shadow beings. We do have all that. We do have what we call ETs. They're not ETs from space as we understand it. They're ETs presence because they can live in a different form than the human being. They don't have to be physical. So they're not ETs, but to interact with physicality, they must have some sort of physicality. And when they interact with our dimension, they become physical. And you see spaceships, spacecrafts. They're not coming from the distant stars, Sirius. They're not coming from there. That's a lie, a big lie. They're not coming from there. They're coming from a different dimension, but they have to interact with our solid world. And to interact with our solid world, they have their own ways of becoming solid. And then there's different beings that they're being with us since the beginning of time, and they have to hide, because if they are exposed, the human being cannot accept those beings. It's not in our nature. And we will hunt them down as we did in the past. In the past, every time we saw a different being that was different from our own kind, our thoughts is to kill it. But that being has a purpose. It's not our job to kill it. It's for the creator. If the creator says that that being doesn't have the right to live, then the creator should kill it, because the creator was the one who created the being. So, but I believe that all's going to be in harmony, and we're all going to be revealed the truth, who these beings are and why they're here. And I believe they all have a purpose.
They all have purposes.
Yeah.
So, okay, those beings didn't even have the physicalities or didn't come from those other planets. So those are the ones have been manipulating entire system, this planet Earth systems and humanities. But there, my understanding, also there are good ETs, like benevolent ETs. So a lot of people are channeling those benevolent beings of higher light from higher dimensional realms, such as people from beings from Sirius and Andromeda and Octurus. Those beings are totally separate from the entities or beings that you've been talking about, right? Am I correct?
Yes, when you talk about ETs, good ETs, you're talking about spirits.
Spirits.
Right. So they're not ETs, they're spirits.
Okay.
They're not ETs, they're spirits. And when they say the people doing channeling, they say it's from the Pleiadians, Sirius, all of that. What they're doing, they're tuning in to that star. And that star has a resonance and the frequency. And when the human being has that ability to tune in with that star or to that star system, is going to receive channel information from there. So they say that we are beings from the Pleiadians, we're beings from Sirius, and we're here to assist and we're here to help. That's the connection. That's a radio station. It's a frequency. But those beings are spirits.
Just like us.
They're just like us, but they don't live
on the planet Earth.
They don't have physicality because they're part of the stars. They're part of the music of the star. So it's an astral communication. And what people misunderstand is they think they're really it is and that they're traveling. No, they don't have to travel because it's an instant communication.
Telepathic communication.
It's telepathic. But the human mind does not have that frequency. So what happens is we make mistakes, and even the channelers make mistakes. Why? Because they're trying to decode a frequency that is not compatible to our own. And then we make mistakes. We know, because I don't channel, but people, they confuse. And the message sometimes is clear, sometimes is not, sometimes it deceives, sometimes it's correct, because it's a radio station. And this is proven scientifically. There are some experiments with water that if you tune into a certain star, even with a telescope, there's a different tune or a different radio wave emitting from that star.
Wow. So then what do you think, Neo? A lot of people really have seen in their third eyes, have described, and then they are believing that so many beings from other planets, they have a physicality like totally different from human beings, but they might have a cat-like ears, they might have almond-shaped large eyes, they might have 4 legs, they might have like 6 fingers, those like different forms, but they are actually they are actually physical beings and living in other dimensions or other planets. What do you think about that? Not to just say spirits, but
yes, the communication from channeling, that's spirit. That's not ET. Even if you get the message, I'm ET, I'm a Pleiadian, I'm from Sirius, Arcturians, whatever those are, they're not physical, but they can project a physical image.
I see. They can project. They can sort of like shape shifting.
Yes, you have to think about how would you operate on a different dimension. If you were a spirit, how would you communicate with something that it's the spirit in low density? So you have to think how you would operate, and you would find the answer. You would project your consciousness into our reality, and then you would project a holographic body or an holographic image so that the human being could relate to, because you can't talk to an orb of light, and sometimes they just appear as an orb. But sometimes you can see, or they can project into your own mind that they are physical, and yet they are not. They're just projecting an image for you to see so that you can relate to, because it's very difficult to talk with nothing, because the spirit or the ether, it's filled with beings, and we have little notion what is the definition of being alive. Being alive means intelligence is behind it. But it doesn't mean necessarily that it needs to breathe. You can have something alive that doesn't need to breathe. If its intelligence speaks and has an awareness and a consciousness, it's alive, but it doesn't breathe. So our definition in our mind must change as well of what's alive and what's dead, because dead is something that is not being animated. That's what we see as dead. Something that doesn't move and it's decaying, and what's live is moving and breathing, but it's not the case. Not in other worlds, not in a different dimension, that is not the case, because you don't need air to breathe. You're the living force. You're part of the same elements. So you don't need the same structure as we do, but if we want to interact, you could use a different, it's like when you go online, you choose a logo, right? And that logo will represent you. And that's your word. Logos means the word. So you attach your symbol, which is something, a geometric shape of some sort with some letters or whatever. And that's your logo to operate in the internet on the 5th element. So you don't put yourself, your body into the internet to communicate, right? What did you use? You use a logo.
Right.
So when people see the eye of Ra, the triangle in the eye, when people see the eye, what are they seeing? They're seeing a logo. It's a logo, it's a word. So that means that it's a presence from a different dimension that's making aware to the human being, that can appear as a triangle, an eye, you know, call it. It's a logo. So it cannot interact physically with you, so it has to choose something so that you can relate to, whether it's just a geometric pattern or a full being with eyes and mouth. And that's why when they took me and I saw the beings, some of the beings, they didn't move their lips. They were talking inside my head, but I could see that they had physical appearance, but I know that they were not physical.
So they just projected the way you saw it for you.
Exactly. And I could, you know, I could define them as being, okay, they were blonde. It looked like they had blue eyes. And they could touch. I could feel the presence. I felt touch, you know, one of them hold my hand. But what makes it physical, I make them physical. Because I'm the one who has the mind in 3 dimensions. So they just need to project a certain holography in my mind is going to make it real. My mind is going to feel the senses. So they're operating like that. And if you go to certain people who have been in the military, who saw aircraft, UFOs and all that, they know that they come from a different dimension. They come as an orb of light. In order to interact with this reality, they can shapeshift into an aircraft. It's all done by consciousness. Consciousness mimics wherever they want. It creates whatever they want. So, and that was something that when we progress, we might be able to do that as well, to create our own vehicles, to create our own machines, and, you know, all the things we can imagine, we can manifest them into reality. We just need how to operate consciousness itself. We need to relearn how to operate consciousness.
So, okay, we have, like, for example, we now Neo Glimmer, K.Angel, Keiko. So we have this separate individuality right now. We are all like seems like different. It seems like unique and special and individual difference in every way. So each and every spirit, including so many people call ETs, benevolent beings of light from higher dimensions. We all have, like, we have all had individuality, like our individuality as you and I. It doesn't disappear. Do you think it will remain as like our special characters, specialness, like difference? It will remain after we ascend. We went back to our home, so-called home.
We will have individuality, but we're going to perceive individuality very, very different from what we perceive here. Because here we perceive individuality as ego. I am. As to when we ascend, our individuality is the I am, but it's the I am of the all. So we all have our own personality, our traits, but we will able to feel and think with one mind. So it's always in love. Think that you're always in love with everything, but you do have your own way of interacting when you're in love. So you will be able to experience something very, very unique, is to be in love all the time by everything, by the colors, by the sand, by the trees, by other people. You're not going to talk because language is a virus on its own. You don't need to use, you could probably use sounds, sing tunes, notes, but you won't be articulating speech because you don't need to. It's more about energy resonance. You project your energy. I'm in love, or you're thinking about something, and then the energy does the rest, and the trees can feel it. The animals feel it, because where we're going to see the same. It's basically the same world as we see here, but uh, it's about nature and the connection with nature and with each other. We don't need buildings, we don't need cars, we don't need all those things. What we see now as technology being machines, our technology will be something natural. You know, that's true technology is crystals and rocks and trees. Trees can speak, they have an awareness, and if you resonate with that energy, you can listen in your head what the tree is speaking about, or he's saying, oh, what a beautiful butterfly is flying, and that's the tree communicating with you, and you can see the butterfly. It's all about energy resonance. It's all a beautiful one. It's impossible to describe in words because you don't use any words. It's where we're going is very, very special.
So, okay, so we will be immortal. We won't die, we won't decay after we ascend, so-called ascension. So
Yeah.
after going back to home or going to the paradise. So there will be no more death, no more disease, no more inferiority, no more lack of confidence, no more comparison, jealousy, hatred.
None of that. All of those things are part of this duality, or part of this world, and this is an underworld realm. It's a different dimension. It's not our real world. Our real world's very, very different. And the part of being immortal, it's immortality, but it's not an immortality for eternity. When we say forever is also a limited amount of time. You will be immortal if you wish to. If you don't wish to, you can travel to other worlds, experience another 3D matrix. You can go to other worlds as well, because there are many, many worlds, many, many universes. You can experience all of them, but remember that every time you changed a world and you feel compelled to live the lives in those worlds, you have to do the cycle all over again. So, but you know, this forever, it's because time is very different from the time here. Imagine one day in paradise is one, I don't know, maybe 48,000 or 45,000 years here, one day there. So imagine that you spend 100 years in paradise. That's 1 million years here. So you see the difference. Being forever is time, you know, because we're all, if we want to ascend truly, one day we will become God.
Somebody, why? Anyway, so I don't know why somebody joined our meeting, but anyway, so that's okay. Let's see.
How did they get the link?
Wow, I don't know. But anyway, so if after we move into into our paradise, do you think we still have the physicality just like this, right?
Not quite. It's physic. You have the sense of feeling, touching, but you're not really using the same. You're not made of the same density. It's a different density. So it's like water and olive oil. You know the difference? If you join the two in water, the olive oil will be on top of the water. It doesn't mix. So what happened is when we move to a different layer, and we are less dense, but we do have we do have an image, and we can feel it. and we can feel the energy, but the touch is based on energy, is based on vibration, is not based on the electric impulses that we have, because when you're touching yourself, your brain is making the electrical, so you feel the sense of touch. When it's energetic, it's a different feeling. You know, when you have goosebumps?
Yes.
That is something that you could feel the energy, and you have the reaction of the goosebumps. So in paradise, we will feel like that, but it's being intensified. You know, imagine goosebumps, but you don't actually feel the goosebumps, you just feel the energy. So it's a different layer.
So do you think we will be able to sort of like shape-shifting ourselves?
That I don't know. I think we will choose an image.
Avatar?
An avatar. I think we will keep the traits. We will keep our traits because we're coming from our being here as its own image. And we're very used to that image. We don't know how the spirit looks. But the body is not just the DNA of the father and the mother. It gets certain traits of the spirit that it's inside of the body. So when we move to paradise, we're going to shift a little bit of how we look, but in the end, our consciousness is going to accept or reject the residual. I call it the residual self, because it's all an imagination. Reality is an imagination, so it's the residual self. If you don't like it, you don't need an operation to do it. You can imagine something new, okay, and that would be allowed. So it's not really shape-shifting, but it's a similar process. You think about it, your traits, and what would you like to see, but that won't be important because you're not feeling you don't feel shame of your body. You don't feel, because you don't have that negative thoughts. Because you don't have the negative thoughts, everything is beautiful. It doesn't matter how you look.
That's exactly right. That's right. All the standard of beauties. It's a illusion. It's a matrix deceptions. That's a made up lies. We've been controlled to like see something as beautiful, something is ugly. Exactly right. Wow.
It's the same as you think. I have like, so let's compare. You have a normal woman, day-to-day job life, normal standard. So doesn't use any makeup. It's very, very natural. And then you have a supermodel, top model, with all the paintings and all. It's different kinds of beautiful. It's a simple beautiful, and then a beautiful that it's produced, that has good hair, makeup, spends lots of time in the hairdresser, whatever. In paradise, that beauty doesn't exist, because, as I told you, it's the beauty of light and energy resonance. So everyone will shine their light, and every light is beautiful. So you don't see, it's like seeing with different eyes. You don't see that. You don't see a beauty of the flesh, because everything has a light, and all light is beautiful because we're in paradise.
Wow,
you don't make
open
mistakes.
my eyes. Wow, for the first time about that. Wow, I've been still very heavily manipulated. I have distorted minds. You just woke me up. Thank you so much, Neo. Wow. So then, okay, I've been following a dedicated follower of your YouTube channel. So I've watched and listened to most of your videos. But I like to ask you again. So although you don't like to set the date, but okay, when do you really think as collectives, as a collective, when do you think? Do you believe that we are going to shift to a paradise, like in the human mind, in our like a calendar, human calendar years? Just like approximately, you don't have to say the date or a year, but like, for example, a decade or 2 years.
I don't really know the date. I have no idea, but I know that it will have a celestial alignment. It will have a noise. People will know when it's going to happen.
So
it's I think we're going to still be in this phase of awakening and a calling. As I said, it's calling the angels, making the angels aware for at least like 5 years, probably. It's this, but it's every year is going to be that we will see the changes happening in succession. So it doesn't take long for us to notice that something changes. We will see a rapid change that is amplifying. And as we see it, we will see the control group that is focusing on the old, rejecting it, being more nasty. So as we see that things are amplifying, the natural disasters, maybe
corruptions of the government and the
corruptions, whatever they're going to plan to do to keep our mind focused on that, that is also a sign. If it's too much, it's also a sign that they're scared, that they're throwing everything because they cannot hold it anymore. So I see like 4 to 5 years, the angels calling, and then after the 5 years, something big happens.
So, something big, you are implying so-called, like everybody is calling as an event.
Yes.
So after the 5 years, that's what you feel.
Yes, that's what I feel right now, but I don't know when it's the date. I think it's about because of the information, I have to recollect every sources of information that I have available for me. And what I feel is until 2024, it's a period of changing and tweaking the frequency, changing the anatomy of the body, activating genetics, creating that light that I was telling you about, the lighthouses all being lightened up so that we can create our arc getting together. But there will be changes in the physical reality. Buildings will change, mountains will change, new animals. We will see different changes because we don't shift in the second. There is a road, but we have to see that road. And until we see it, we need to see to believe. Especially the ones who are unaware, they have to see to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people think that something bad is going to happen. I don't want to say that. I don't believe that something bad is going to happen, but probably for some people, something bad will happen to them because they believe that something really, really awful needs to occur in order to, because that's what they were told their entire life.
They're going to create.
Yes, so that's the mind they're going to see, and I think it's going to be a reward. I think the ones who are more in tune with love, with feelings of love, they would be spared from seeing horrific things. As others, they didn't behave, or they helped humanity to become what we are today, they're going to be punished somehow. That doesn't mean that they need to die, but probably they're going to see things that...
Something like some people, some religious beliefs talking about rapture.
Yes, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about the angels awakening, being the first to get out, to be transported. Those are going to be the first. and then the event is going to happen, and people will perceive it as their heart is. So if their heart is like a stone, they will see stones, rocks falling. But if your heart is open, what they're going to see is beautiful. So you know what I mean? I'm talking about a radio station. If they're not tuned to that radio station, they're going to see completely something different than the others.
I see.
So a different event.
Events will be perceived or experienced all individually, it's all differently. And the timing of so-called ascension also is a very individual thing. You think, so some people are talking that they are already ascended. They are already in the 5D conscious. How do you think about that? I've heard about those. Some people say, I'm already in 5D. And I can still perceive 3D. People are on the 3D, but I am not in the 3D anymore. So what do you think about it?
If these people are saying that they're in 5D, if they were in 5D, you could not see them. They would be already in paradise. So how can they be in 5D? They're not. They're deceiving themselves, thinking that they're in 5D. At least they're in 4D. Because fourth dimension, and we can see from the people who are unaware, the unaware are in 3D, the matrix. It still looks the same. There's not any changes. The movies look the same. The songs look the same. They don't remember any change in reality. That's 3D. 4D is the ones who remember how the world was, and they know the changes and they know the clues. They see the clues. 5D, it's a different dimension. 5D, it's paradise. So if they're not in paradise, they're still here.
But what if, okay, this is my theory, what if they are already really ascended, they are in the 5D, and the 3D or 4D people cannot perceive people, beings on the 5D, but beings on the 5D, they can actually manipulate 3D avatars. They can look like their fractals, their partial selves on the 3D as an avatar.
Let me say, not from 5D. From 5D, it's heaven, it's paradise, it's the original condition of the human being. There's no one in 5D who's operating an avatar here. Nothing. What you're talking about is 7th dimension, 8th dimension, 9th dimension, 10th dimension operating the avatars now. That is the Holy Spirit. It's just one being, but it's masquerades using masks, so it doesn't give the all away. So when you say, "Oh, my higher self is controlling me or control my avatar," and I speak with my higher self. You're not speaking with your higher self. You're at best speaking with the Holy Spirit, and it's the Holy Spirit who is guiding you. It's called the divine spark. When the DNA was activated, you created a receiver. It's like a walkie-talkie. So you receive the transmission, and you have your walkie-talkie on, and the transmitter is the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit is guiding you because He knows everything ahead of time, and He knows exactly what is the destination of the journey. But you have free will in here. You have the power of choice. And because you have the power of choice, the only way that you can be operated is by giving you the clues, reality confirmations, and the number sequences. So when you see your clock repeating with the same numbers, it's the Holy Spirit making you aware, because probably you wouldn't guess to be looking at the clock at that exact moment. What made you look to the clock was the Holy Spirit has alerted you to look to the numbers. Okay, so you see the twins or the sequence, but in there, when you watch to the moment, that's the Holy Spirit making you aware. But as soon as you get your eyes off, you're going to do something. That's your choice. I saw it. How did you operate? The Holy Spirit only makes you aware of the choice and of the clues that you're in the right path. It's not your higher self as a spirit in a different dimension operating you. It's a string, and it looks like a video game. It's like the Holy Spirit is God, you know, and it picks up the mouse and lets you be aware that it's now in control of you, but it doesn't, when you want something, it doesn't go with your mouse. It say, no, 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 you can't have this. It doesn't reject it. It lets you go, but it will make you aware that you made a bad decision or that you made a good one. So that's how it's been operating. It's not really a higher self. That's our mind making an illusion that we're being controlled by our higher. It's basically the same thinking, but when you think of a higher self, you see as an individual being, an individual soul doing it, and it's not. It's the collective operating.
Wow, wow, that's a really amazing information. I've been my eyes are wide open in a new way. But then perhaps those people who believe they are already in 5D, they have already ascended, they have already exited this matrix, probably the ones that already walked self-work, that they have done many purgings, like clearing and releasing all the energies, and they are finding that their sovereignty, their true powers in this 3D or 4D matrix, still, as of today, still matrix. And they have they no longer feel trapped, they no longer feel being enslaved. Am I right? Do you think that's the case?
That's not 5D, that's 4D.
4D.
That's the limbo between, that's the ones who are aware, the ones who are asleep. So they're more spiritual prepared, but they're not in fifth dimension, because fifth dimension is being complete. So they're lying to themselves that they're already, oh, I already ascended to 5D. 5D is going to be heaven. If you're not in heaven, you're still here.
So they have no clue then what really, how it will feel like being in a 5D or
No.
after exit this matrix. They have no clue. It's beyond their possible, their perception, beyond their imaginations.
Yes, and then people who have the KHT sessions, yes, where they describe the event and then they describe all that. What they're doing is, when they speak that, oh, it's my higher self is making me aware of seeing, they're talking about the higher self of the subconscious mind. They're going to, because the hypnotic session makes you go into the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is a field of yourself, of things that you're not aware. And some of that information comes through, but it's basically the same as channeling. You think you're seeing the real thing, but you're not seeing the real thing. Because I'm going to tell you something, they will not spoil the journey. Do you think that you're going to be able to go on a QHT session and have the same feeling that you're going to have when the real thing happens?
I don't know.
They wouldn't tell you before time. They're going to let you experience all new. The feeling is going to be experienced in that moment. So you're picking up in these KHT sessions, they're picking up what the subconscious mind already knows something, and it shows you something, but you're filling in the gaps. The conscious mind is imagining what the subconscious is telling. So they're creating an illusion of how things might work, and it's beautiful. Of course it's beautiful, but it's not the real deal. It's just a dream. It's like almost a dream that it relates to that event, but it's not the real thing. So, oh, I see beautiful trees and tree houses, and okay, if that is real, then another person who does the same session has to imagine exactly the same, and it doesn't happen. They have points that they connect, that it's basically the same experience, but they see a different thing. Why? Because you're imagining the process. It's not a real thing. The real thing won't be spoiled until it happens.
Wow.
Won't spoil it.
Don't spoil it.
It's almost like they're accessing the DNA, the database, but you have a firewall. And that firewall is going to make you imagine things that it's not going to happen in that way, in that manner. So, but you can get something out of it, because the subconscious knows a lot of things that the conscious mind doesn't. But it's not the true event has nothing to do, because life experience is much greater. It's going to be much greater than it's so different that what people would imagine.
So do you think non-physical, our loved ones who are non-physical, they are also ascending? They are gonna experience this massive shift together as non-physicals.
The people who have died before,
who are deceased.
If we're going to 5D, so are they. It's for everyone. But the soul doesn't behave. The soul of the deceased doesn't behave the same way. Because when you die and you go through the process of rebirth and incarnation, the soul sometimes chooses to become a different part, a different soul part. So it's like if you have like a twin sister or a younger sister, something that it's already deceased, you might think that, oh, I have two sisters, so when I ascend, I'm going to meet my two sisters. Not exactly, because they can choose to be together. So they can be one person, and you think that you have two sisters, but in the end, you're going to meet just one being, because the souls decided that they want to be just one being with that two soul polarity. So they will have features. They will appear like it's a mix between one another.
Wow.
So that's how it works, because the soul can, it's like I said, the soul can choose what's going to become, because it's conscious, it's aware of itself.
So they choose on their own. You cannot request them to appear as what you want them to be.
Yes, it's all goes back to Adam in the Garden of Eden. We're all descendants from Eve and Adam. So if we're all those descendants, when we ascend, do you want to keep that just that little spark of the seed, or do you want to join with the other souls in becoming just one being? So if people think, oh, is heaven going to be overpopulated, superpopulated? Like, how are we going to live with there's so much people around the world today? Not if they join groups, not if they become one being. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
And you, each one of us actually can recognize those souls, who they are.
Yes.
That's beautiful, Neo. So I've kept you long enough, I think. So, but I would like you to give those people some messages of hopes and love, because so many people are suffering right now. So many people are at the end of the rope. So many people are depressed. So many people really wanna leave, wanna go, wanna leave this physicality, physical experiences. So many people are desperate. Could you have some messages to those people to give them hopes and some maybe light?
I would tell them not to quit, to always keep hope, never lose faith, and that in this September is going to be the turning point. This September is going to, the energies will flip over and we'll finally entering into positivity. Real positivity. So, and after that, it's going to increase and increase and increase until the job it gets done, and we're going to start seeing the changes happening more quickly. So this is probably one of the worst times. It's because we're so close to the end
Yes.
game that we feel the sadness. We feel that we don't want to be here anymore, that we're tired. The spirit is grown tired. But we will not quit. The ones who have the mission, they will not quit. The ones who see the numbers, they will not quit. They will stay on mission because that's their purpose, and their purpose is good. God knows what they're going to do before time. So even if you think you're quitting, if you have a bad week, a bad month, in the next month you're going to be with full strength and recovered, and that's how things will operate. So never lose hope.
That's beautiful. So things will be getting easier and easier by the days and months go by, right?
I'm not saying easier, but you're gonna see something that's gonna give you hope.
Give them hope. Gives them hope.
Give them hope. I will tell them to listen to music because the music is being changed, and you get messages within the music.
Sound.
In the music, create a playlist of songs that you like. Listen to radio stations and start asking questions. Shuffle between the musics. You're gonna see the reflection of the holographic reflection is going to give you a message that you're going to need. That's how it's been communicating with me. It's how it's been working with me now, is I get confirmations.
So listen to music for healings and encouragement and uplifting your, raising your vibrations.
Yes. It's all part of a plan. It's all part of a big plan. So there's no escape.
So it used to be music had some type of frequencies, some type of like megahertz was set to kind of distract people and make people depressed, make people kind of crazy. I don't know exact megahertz, but there used to be most of the music from like Hollywood or music industries, those music had lower vibrations. You say music has completely changed.
It's not the pitch of the music that people are used to. It's what's in those songs. It's like a Mandela effect on the song.
Yes.
So if the music can change lines, the movies can change lines. When you watch that movie, yes, you're entering the fifth dimension. When you listen to the song that was changed, you're entering into the fifth dimension, because it's the Holy Spirit that changed the songs and the movies. You're connecting with that frequency. It's energetic. The same way I explained to you that when you're in paradise, you're going to respond to resonance and energy resonance. Right now, in order to get out of the illusion, we need to have the mental resonance. And the mental resonance is with the movies that were changed, the songs that were changed by the Mandela effects, all that. So believe it that the music is changing you the same way it changed the line or it changed the song, because they're there for that reason. So that's why we should listen to music, or if you watch a movie, watch something that it was changed, that you know for a fact that it was changed, because it contains a different
Mandela effect movies and music. So please, everybody, watch the movies. People are talking that it happened Mandela effect within the movies, and then the music that has like brand new messages to humanity, and they can shift you, they can encourage you, they can raise your vibrations. That's what Neo was telling. So Neo, thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm sure so many people really, they were resonated by your messages and uplifted. So thank you so much. So what are you gonna do rest of the night? Are you a night owl or are you a morning person?
No, I'm gonna stay indoors. I'm gonna have my dinner and then I'm gonna rest, because your mind needs to rest.
Oh, okay.
So rest well and so that you be fresh in the next day.
All right, so I'm gonna stop the video. So thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you in the next video. And I hope Neo will come back to my channel and tell all of us a beautiful shift or brand new stories. Neo, would you come back again in the future?
Surely I will come back. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.